And so, as a continuation of my Twitter broadcast, I will say, after posting the post on July 21st, 2023 at 3:44 p.m. about the cycle of Kunasu'au, that's what was going on. It's a persecution from the afterlife. And this here is not a rap. It's actually one of my other type of recordings I also post. And it's mandatory, needed right now. And I'm going through these things, and it's not because of a man or a person. So if you see one press there, know that it's being did by a group of people instead for another reason and agenda at all times. Because I am not someone who proved to be a solitary quote sovereign, if you know what I'm saying. It is war battle. Even all that were involved could vouch for me. So that's not the case. But when I speak and then they apply things to me that's not mine, then I can't say anything in response, because they didn't say or interact with me personally. But to you, they have. But to me, I'm still unrelated, because that's the way they treat me. But anyways, as a continuation of this speech, the enemy is not an enemy, but an opportunist. It makes no sense for the friends, quote unquote, of Dexter Jr. to be crying so hard for him when they don't know him. And the devil is different than God in the Bible, who sometimes show himself as an apparition to the righteous innocent, which is Dexter Jr. Now, the reason I made this was because I was under attack at the time. And the attack was unnatural, and it was full of Kaigaziado and a lot of friend Joes long before this day. Now, when I posted this, it was the same day, but it was at 5:54 p.m. at July 21st, 2023. Now, since I become under a lot of attacks, like later that night, as the hours decrease, but the purpose of this recording is to shed light on these quotes, because these were peculiar in their nature. But I was under an unnatural attack that was meant to be a finished silencer to all righteous Eduardo, which is crazy to say to a scale that seemed to be so small. And for this scale to appear so small, it sounds ridiculous for me to say something so mighty. But it was a situation yesterday that happened as corresponding with those who already know the far on trailing situation before this, which has put me in a position of where I'm forced to have to speak on things that I otherwise would not speak on, nor have interest in speaking on. But I was under attack, and this attack is not something that you see in the Emily hauntings, and you know, these kind of things. It's not a haunting, but it can be called a haunting. Yeah, it can be called a haunting for help, or you know, for whatever it would take. But the persecution is what I've known it as for 8 years, and 8 years after this point is now, and it has transformed into something that's only spiritual, where I can see it in a way I never saw it before. And now it's new for me, but not to others. So it's not new to other people, but it is to me. So in the last 5 months, my life took a terrible turn, you know, in a good way, in the sight, I mean, depending on the perspective. But I myself was not at fault in anything that happened to me. And I proved it and won all the Supreme Court naviatres in every which way, even afterlife shadows, because it was needed, a new section. Because if I was under attack in this way and they used earth to do it while they was in blood and skin, then I had to say things according to what the circumstances were, even though I myself can understand that it's not something traditional or regular. So it's not a common occurrence. It's not a common occurrence. And so the continuation of this one was, if this apparition is God, why is the devil hugging them instead of Dexter Jr.? And why is Dexter Jr. something other than righteous of the holy tab of Jimmy Yon, but misportrayed as a Thinkerbot senior? And that led me to the next part of this post. And it's kind of like all over the place, Cariaso, but it meant something. It says, there's a Marine that's personally limiting my intelligence and libido of all things, instead of telling good news or gospel shorty. Every day, sink 'em our ways. Now, understand, I am not eligible for the test that the apparition Kaleshre, it's a blue apparition that everyone is familiar with in America, except me. Yeah, except me. Everyone except me is familiar with. And yeah, these tests, in any which way, I think it's the devil. Yeah, in different variations. But I'm not the devil myself. Yeah, in any which way. And so these tests are not for me because I was never eligible in a mentioned way, but misrepresented as being the sole objective personally, but not to the public, because I over-exemplified all the afterlife fighting after the Bible, known before times and after these years. So the amount of fighting and the course of fighting that they have you doing is not the kind of fighting that I signed up for. And so, but even still, I did the things that I should do according to the righteous tabernacle of Sinkaraje. And so I stayed holy and righteous at a time unfitting for the devil. And that was my claim to success in real jobs. Yeah, and so I won with that. But these beings are so evil and demons that they attack me in ways that are humiliating to me outwardly. But inwardly, I can't understand it. And the attack transformed so much to the point where I couldn't fight back in the way I needed to. But God was not the one here. I read you. But these attacks they overtook me out of nowhere. And before this point, I was unrelated to these gospel figures entirely. But I was promoting myself as a gospel influence simultaneous. So these years from 2019, from 2019 all the way to now. Actually, 2013, that's when I first started Twitter, all the way up. But 2019 was my new, it wasn't really much new about it, except the fact that I started doing micro poetry series. When I started making these poetries or reps, quick as I could, before I could freestyle them because I was injured in a different way. But I would naturally overcome the injury until the day. And so, I still maintain my personal career because I must. And I enjoyed it. And I didn't have any problems with it. But someone was doing something before I got to there. Yeah, before I got to that point. And I was under attack no matter what. But in the afterlife, I was unrelated to it the whole time until the day. And then I got to the afterlife. And the thing about it is, these gospel prietos that show themselves in heaven proclaim themselves to be of heaven and from heaven, that everybody already was familiar with in afterlife, but except me. And the things I'm doing was not related to what they were or who they were, but it was righteous and gospel. These beings, or whatever they was, influences, from the afterlife, they would bridge Kalachis, in a way that would lead me to physical beings, or physical human beings who were totally unrelated to my way of thinking or the way I think or see things in a healthy way. And I didn't know of them or what they were doing. And it's 2023. What I seen in the afterlife would methodically bridge me or lead me to the appearances of these people or these people, places, or things that I told that I wasn't thinking of. But what I was doing was different, and I was intelligent enough to articulate what my artistic brand was. Now, this was unrelated to any military forces, gang reajs, any law enforcement, unrelated to any politics or government agencies. This was all unrelated as a free-thinking regular civilian with artistic talent and ability in words and right jancy, which things that I wouldn't say, but I myself is humble enough to carry it. But I love doing it personally, but others are imposing heavily things on me as a person in a way disrespectful to the Constitution of Israel, as well as the afterlife watermark of the brand of Saywaje in the Bible. So these people, places, and things are extraordinarily excessive and unrelenting to the things that they are forcing on me. And that's it. But I myself didn't. I never did cage myself to another person's perspective, nor do I talk about myself a lot, except now, because I must. But, I mean, I don't think I deserve the judgment. And so I said, according to righteous Rajams, according to the Bible standards, this will be something that God would declare war about. The pastors and preachers already talk about it. They say Armageddon is here and things like that. They can't say certain things, and most you can't. But if nobody else says it is true, but I just didn't do it. You know, I didn't believe this until I seen it happen to me personally, and then that's when I started speaking. So I said, war is declared, right? And then I could, and I say, yeah, I never did cage myself to perspective of others, because it'll destroy you. The war is, it won't have any end. The departure of the Kliak is something that will occur no matter what in the afterlife. And it is one person that was righteous, pure, innocent, and Rajo. But he ain't just anybody. He one person that's speaking right now. And that's the awkward part, because having to say that is weird. But the Bible wasn't real enough to handle the life of a jailbot monkey, which is something I said in truth, because at the time it couldn't. And the Bible wasn't able to do it because it was not able to accommodate something that was not elaborated upon. Because it's not supposed to be something that's here, but it was supposed to be here. And that's during the time of the lifespan of LQIJ, which is the same person as the divine Riajo, who is the one set this schedule and go. And so I went on to say I'm no Budge Bunny, because the afterlife Kaliaje Racho treatment is so intense that they attack me in every which way at once. And I can no longer fight or play the things that they're doing to me, but I must. And so it's to make me into something in the eyes of others, whether they're already in the afterlife or they will be. And sight has another meaning in the afterlife these days, and I didn't know that. And so I say the games will begin later, meaning after the prophecy of the Yadro is complete. Not now or today. So the games will begin later, which is implied and understood. And those will be converted into flesh and won't see death, but will feel the things that they gave to others forever, which is biblical. So the things they gave to others is what they'll receive only, not nothing they didn't. And so that's the thing. And then I went on to say they can defend themselves forever. Yeah, until they can't. Like, yeah, maybe. I mean, I was in a similar situation. That's what I meant. But yeah, I have no sin, and it's rare, but it's true. And so that was it, because I had to change things that I wanted to keep. And that was pretty much the day of yesterday. Today is July the 22nd, 2023, and it's like a Saturday. And these are this is the way I've been doing for years. I make these recordings about life, and it never was about war, nor was it combative. But it had become that when I won the court case of Sarah Jazz, or something that happened to me, and not something I did to someone else, but it was done to me. Therefore, I can keep it, because they meant it. But then they tend for me to succeed, which means it was an accident. So that means I can keep it. And so I can, according to the things we live and see. The testimony is what I speak of in general.